Doddie Weir, thank you so much for joining us on Scotland Tonight. I know you must be sick of people asking you this, but how are you feeling at the moment?
Well, no, thank you very much for the invitation to talk about my condition of MND. Yeah, not too bad. If there's any, probably quite well in respective terms of what the condition can do. So it's one of these areas, it's affecting my hands just now, and it's quite tricky when I'm trying to do a tie or do some buttons on your shirt, but we're getting around that. So not too bad in certain terms. I can still walk, I can still eat, I can still talk, drive the car, do everything that I've done normally for quite a long time. So in a way, quite lucky.
When did you first realise there was something wrong? What were the symptoms?
Probably going back maybe near a couple of years ago, at least 18 months ago. I lost a bit of power in my left hand, and I'm not one with power anyway. I thought I caught it in a door. And being a farming country boy, I thought, oh, I'll be okay. I thought maybe I'd broken a bone or something, but again, being an old rugby boy, we'll be fine and it'll heal itself. But it didn't really. When I got cold during the winter, it lost even more power, and then my skin started to twitch, and that was the kind of giveaway. So that would be, yeah, about 18 months ago, or thereabouts. So after about 3 or 4 months, when I thought, this is not really very right, it's not going away, I contacted the doctor, and with that the progression took maybe about 3 to 4 months to find out that I had officially MND. So it was officially announced to my good lady Kathy and I in December just last year, and we announced it to everyone just in April, June.
When you got the diagnosis, when you were told you had motor neuron disease, did you realise what that meant straight away? Did you realise the ramifications? I
did, unfortunately. Which maybe wasn't the correct thing to do, had a look on Google. And a lot of people say you shouldn't do that. But I did just have a wee look, and then when I saw the condition and what I had kind of coincided with MND, I went, we're in a little bit of trouble here. And with that, maybe a year prior to that, or 2 years prior to that, I met up with Joos van der Westhuizen, a friend who used to play for South Africa as well, who had the condition, and also Ewan McDonald, who has the condition as well. They visited Murrayfield. So on the back of that, realised what the path might take. And yes, a bit worrying at the moment, but we're not there yet. So we're hopefully with this to try and bring a fight to try and see if we can get a cure.
And when you think about the path that you will have to take, it must be very frightening to get a diagnosis like that.
Definitely. I think for myself, I kind of expected that, and through my rugby, I always expect the worst. I was hoping that the professor might say I haven't got it, but I kind of knew with all the tests that we did, and they're quite extensive tests. And that's the one thing about motor neuron disease: there's no actual test to say that you have. You've got to go through a multiple test to say that you don't have. And with that, it was lumbar punctures, it was shock therapy, it was brain scans, and everything we had to go through. A lot of blood tests as well. So if I didn't like a needle, I was in a bit of trouble, which wasn't too bad. So it was quite a painful time to go through to ultimately get the MND diagnosed. But the hardest thing to take is that there's actually no official cure just now for it. So again, we always have a fight. And that fight is certainly one we're going to start and see if we can change that.
Do you ever think, though, why me?
Well, you do go that thought, yeah, but why me? It could have been someone else otherwise if it wasn't me. So I'm quite happy, because I've had a great time over the rugby, and it's not over yet. That a lot of living to do yet. And as the first question was, how am I? I'm very fortunate that I can still walk, talk, drive the car, do everything that I did normally. Sometimes a bit slower, but with that we get on with it. So with that, quite delighted. There's a lot of other people with the disease that can't do that. So in some ways fortunate, and with that we're here to then make a difference.
You broke the news that you had this disease when you were in New Zealand with your family, and there was just an incredible outpouring of affection for you. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. Were you really taken aback?
Well, yeah, of course it was, yes, because you never realise that affection we did when we were going to New Zealand. That was one of the reasons why we went to New Zealand, just to have opportunities with the family, because again the other thing is you don't know what's around the corner. I don't know, I haven't got a timetable of how the condition will affect me. Like all the others with MND, they don't know. Will it be 3 months? Will it be 6 months? Can I walk in 2 months? Can I do this? Can I keep eating my own? And that's the worrying for myself and the professors and the professionals behind me don't know either. When we got diagnosed, for example, in December, the professor kind of mentioned that I might not be able to walk into his surgery in a year's time. Now that's quite worrying. So with that, it gives us a goal to try and prove them wrong. And at the moment, things are going not too bad to prove them wrong, but the affection and the support is mind-boggling, humbling in a lot of ways.
You must have been, oh, Doddie. You must have been so moved, though, at the way the people the guys that you've played with all your life, the way they reacted.
Yeah, yes, I do. And a lot of times, this is all pretty new, interviewing and things. For me, and it is quite tricky. We did a wee function in New Zealand, and it took a bit of getting used to, and it still will, to the affection that we've had from World Rugby, and friends and family have just been outstanding, really.
Because it's like a brotherhood, isn't it?
It is. It is that, yes.
But people that don't even know you, or don't know you through rugby, have been in touch with you, haven't they? And I was speaking to a really good friend of yours, and he was saying, everyone feels like they know Doddie Weir. You know, you have that connection with people. Yeah, well, that's very, very kind of. I'm being a bit rude by not looking at it, because I might shed a tear or two. Oh, Doddie.
But yeah, well, that's the affection we've had through the rugby and the support. It's been pretty special.
Oh, I'm reluctant to ask you this next question, but you know, as a parent, I suppose I'm interested in this. How did you explain this to your three boys, Hamish, Angus and Ben? Yeah,
it wasn't very, very easy. But again, December, Cathy and I knew it was what made matters a little bit worse. His mum wasn't very well. She had a bit of cancer as well. So we decided that we'd keep it quiet for ourselves till about January. And I'm looking at me because I probably won't be able to speak. So with that, we decided that the friends and family knew in January, and we just told them what happened. Certainly with the eldest son, Hamish, who's 16, understood, I think, what's going on. It's been quite tricky for him. Mm-hmm. The other two know what's going on, but maybe don't have a realisation of the future. So very tricky, but again, you've got to deal with it. You've got to mention to the family, because they now know if I can't lift anything or do something, they're very helpful.
This is a progressive disease. I mean, how are you preparing for the months ahead?
Well, behind the scenes of MND Scotland, what's going on, the support is unbelievable, with nurses and all the specialists you need. What's to me a miss is the forefront of trying to find a solution, because the only pill that we're on, there's one tablet available, we'll use all, and that was brought into the country in 1995. Since then, nothing really has hit the table, and that's the frustrating thing for myself, and we'd like to try and change, is that MND sufferers and maybe other neurology sufferers have options that might try and help them either slow condition down or stop it would be ideal. So with the help of my friends, and there's many of them, that's the pioneer I would like to do.
You broke the news of your diagnosis via Twitter on Global MND Awareness Day. Did you decide quite early on that you wanted to try and help to raise money to help others find a cure?
Yeah, definitely. That's always been a case and a cause of others, because ever since December when we got diagnosed, which is some 9 months ago now, as I say, nothing has happened. You're one tablet. If it doesn't work for you, there's no actual medication you can take whatsoever. So I've got to go for weekly or monthly checks on my liver, and if this tablet has any effect, I've got to come off it till the liver settles down. And with that, I just find it quite hard to understand why that's the case. So ever since we've been diagnosed, with friends like you who've set his foundation up and come a long way to try and find and made awareness of MND as well, that was certainly a position I wanted to do to try and continue. Because
if you're diagnosed with MND and there is only one pill, there's no known cure, it must feel hopeless. Whereas if you get other cancer or something like that, you feel that there's a chance you can fight, and that must be very difficult to cope with. Very much, and that's exactly the situation. To get any sort of illness like that is an absolute disaster, but with cancer there's a lot more trial drugs coming on, there's a lot more tested drugs, there's a lot more finance, and you can see why, because there's a lot more people
have that condition. But with MND, it's kind of forgotten about, and I don't think in today's environment that should be a case, that there shouldn't be any terminal illness. So there should be some finance, some help put together, so with people who have this, they can still have a quality of life which everyone sort of deserves.
And you're setting up your own trust as well. What do you hope to achieve with that?
Well, again, the ultimate achieve is to help others who maybe are not as fortunate as myself, and with MND and other conditions similar, but also to see if we can find and secure a solution. That's the main do of that. And the idea of our own trust is we're in control with that and where the monies go, which I think is quite important to myself. So we have to make sure that people are working for getting the finances, and that's certainly a way that my trustees, who are great rugby friends as well, family and friends, are setting up and deciding to go down that way.
And your wife, of course, is beside you every step of the way, and I hear that she's been an absolute tower.
She has, and I think life's probably very a lot harder for people behind the scenes, because we've got a condition we're reacting it with every day, and I think the loved ones behind will certainly find it quite hard because they can't do anything.
So very hard for your wife. Doddie. Let's try and finish on a more upbeat note. I know that you've got, lots of great friends beside you, and you're going to be doing lots of fundraising. What have you got?
Well, we are. We are. Yes.
Let's hold it together here.
No, look, in a way, what's happened has been quite good, because we've been around the world. We've been to New Zealand as a family as well. Even Isla Col went up to see a rugby friend, Rob Wainwright. So things like that have been great, doing a lot of family holidays. But ultimately, the goal now is to try and see if we can raise some funds, because it's ultimately all about money. Raise some funds to go to areas within the UK, Scotland, the world, that's hopefully going to try and finance and look to find a solution. So if we can do that, we'll see, and we'll be here in many a year to come.
Doddie, Weir, thank you so much for speaking to us in Scotland tonight. I really appreciate it. You're just an absolute star. Thank you.
Thank you.